Welcome to CAS 133 Basic Computer Skills, Microsoft Office, Columbia Gorge Community College, the Dalles, Oregon, Linda Hughitt, instructor. In this video, we're going to be looking at what you need to do for week 4, what the assignments are going to be. You'll notice that there is actually going to be an additional support added here. You'll see your goals, your direction summary, and then the summary of the work that needs to be submitted by the end of the week. You'll have your student data files that you're going to download again. Remember that you cannot work with a file that's inside a zipped folder. You have to pull it out to your flash drive or your desktop to make it work. You're also going to be uploading, turning in, the learning project, Word Chapter 2. We're going to talk about that in just a second. The application project, which we'll again talk about in a second. Your journal reflection, which cannot be turned in late, has to be done on time. It's the same reflection as you did last week, except over this week's material. It uses that same format that we've been doing, the 3, 2, 1. 3 things that you learned, 2 questions you still have, and 1 thing that you're going to do with the information you've learned, how you can apply it either now or where you can see applying it in the future. Remember, it needs to be at least 150 words for full credit. You have your form, which is talking about using Word for research papers. And again, reminder, your reply to the question needs to be 100 words or more. And you need to reply to another student's post in a meaningful way. It needs to be at least 50 words or more. You'll also notice we didn't mention it last week, but you have the extra credit link in both weeks for uploading any extra credit projects you choose to do for this week. Remember, they need to be in the lab, and they come from the back of your book on the yellow pages. You may do only 1 Word project, so if you did one last week, you're done until we move on into PowerPoint, Excel, or Access. So what's your project going to look like? You're going to need your book out again to follow along. You're going to be creating a research paper. It's the second chapter of Word. It starts on WD 66. But you're not doing a real research paper. You're not picking a topic. You're not doing the research. You're copying a research paper that is provided to you and then applying the proper formatting to put it into MLA format. So on WD 67, you can see what it's going to look like. You can't click on it and see all the little cool features that are tucked into it, but you can see the general look of what it's going to be when it's done. In other words, on the bottom of the first page, you're supposed to have your footnote. If your footnote ends up somewhere in the middle or bottom of the second page, you know you have a mistake you're going to need to fix before you upload. As you work through this, you get your roadmap on WD 68. It has some document settings you're going to need to do, and then it's basically going to walk you through it. It is really, really important that you follow everything very, very carefully. It's going to have you adjust line spacing. It's going to have you maybe not have a space after it, where you on WD 73, it has you remove the space after the paragraph. Many students miss doing that. It walks you through it very carefully. It shows you how to switch into the header, how to align a paragraph, how to get the text in. It continues to walk you through doing the actual typing of the paper, starting on 78, WD that is. It gives you some keyboard shortcuts, and you get that far before it saves. And I always suggest you save long before the book does. That's way too much work to lose. I would save it very, very soon after I start it, probably in the first minute or 2. I do not like to redo things because of oopses. The other thing is, as long as everything's going good, the paper's looking like it should, you don't think you have any mistakes in it, I would use the Control and the S key quite frequently to do a save. After the first time, that's a real quick shortcut to save. I use it every few sentences. Talks you through some autocorrects and all sorts of different really cool features that are good to know about. And then it takes you into the reference tabs starting on WD 89. Basically, if you follow the steps, When you're done, it's going to be like a 1 or 2 click thing to create your whole works cited page. So it's really important that you go through. Also, just so you know, as I'm following through and checking your paper for scoring, there are some trademarks I can look at. Basically, if I click on certain things, they'll do certain things if you set them up correctly. And I can tell if you set them up right or not. Even though on the front of the thing it looks like it's just typed, it's really not just typed. It's really formatted into the paper. And because we submit electronically, I can look at that and determine if you've actually followed the directions or if you've just tried to get by typing it as is. Which, by the way, since that is going to mean you've lost the ability to learn all the cool features that Microsoft offers you in doing research papers, which is the whole reason for doing this research paper, basically that's an immediate 50% and a redo on your paper because you haven't learned the key core skill that this chapter is teaching by trying to work around and shortcut it. So keep working your way through learning to do footnotes, how to edit a source. A lot of times you'll have to edit your sources as you go back in. And then towards the end, once we get up to like WD 104, it's going to start talking about how to put in your works cited page, how to center, how to turn it to plain text, how to add words to it, how to whatever it may be that needs to be done, how to get a hanging indent. And then a lot of people think, oh, I'm done, I'm out of here, you know, the sun's shining, whatever, I've got other things to do. The problem is, starting at WD 108, it starts to walk you through proofreading and revising the paper, modifying your source, updating a field. At the bottom of WD 110, people often miss to convert a field to regular text because that's tucked right in there. And so because of that, they just don't do it. So you need to make sure you have converted that to plain text. It's one of the things I click on to check. And it continues to walk you through some different things of copying and pasting and cutting and replacing text and all sorts of things like that. It does have the spelling and grammar check. It has you finding a synonym, which is a really handy skill to know how to do. Main and custom dictionaries, research paint options, and then it takes you through like how to print, how to exit, those types of things, and again has the chapter summary at the end that gives you kind of that mini index if you need to look something up. Even if you don't use it this week, this month for the mini index, many people keep this textbook, kind of makes it their computer word Bible. They go back and use it many, many times throughout the next few years as they're going to school or needing to write papers or working in an office, whatever the use is, you're going to use a word, and they can look things up. So those little mini indexes can be very, very handy. So now we're moving into the yellow pages. We're not going to do anything with the first couple yellow pages at all. But when you get to the in the labs on WD 128, that is where you have the option of doing an extra credit project. If you missed last week and it's already closed, or it's about to be closing and you really don't have time to do it right now, this is then the option. Remember, you only get to do one word project. So if you did last week's and you've uploaded it, or you're doing last week's and in the process of going to be uploading it, then you will not be doing an extra credit from this, but it does need to be in the labs. Anything else doesn't end up working out so well for you. And then, of course, then you get your application project, the biggie, the one that's going to count the most points. And that's down here on consider this your turn on WD 135. And again, you're going to be doing a research paper, but this time it's a little bit different. Again, you're not going to pick your own topic. You're not going to be having to go spend the hours and hours in the library or online doing the research. You're actually going to use those data files that I provided for you right up here. And for the first one, which is the personal one on creating a research paper about laptops, tablets, and desktops, you're going to use a file called Your Turn 2-1 Computer Notes. Right here. This is the downloaded folder of it. There's my friendly neighborhood alligator. And no, I really wasn't that close. I have a long lens. Okay, so if you're moving on over to doing the one about the POS terminals, ATMs, and self-service kiosks, again, you're going to want that data file. It is your turn 2-2 terminal notes. And then if you're going to do it about the research paper about social media sites, that one, looking at it, I believe you're going to have more actual research that you will have to do, because you're going to have to research 3 separate social media sites for features, capability, typical use, privacy settings, etc. And remember, there is no team members. Even though it says team members, you're the team member for all parts and pieces. So I think that pretty well walks you through week 4. If you have any questions, be sure to email me.